What's up, everyone? I'm the Burning Baron, but you can just call me the Baron. And Wave 2 of Mario Kart 8's DLC has, well, not finally dropped, but has dropped. We got confirmation of it like literally the week ago. So, I'm here. I'm gonna go through all the new tracks, even though I have already gone through them all at least once, because I was too excited. But here's my plan for this video, because I also know I didn't do this for the first wave of DLC. So, what I'll do is I'm going to do a versus race of the 16 tracks, all 16 of them. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the mirror mode Grand Prix for just the Wave 2. So that, because like Wave 2 really is supposed to be the big idea here. So for my all 16 run, I'm gonna play as my boy Ludwig, because Ludwig is my favorite. Let's see. I'm gonna use some of my, I always, whenever I play as a Koopaling, I always either target the land ship or the Koopa Clown, because they have unique colors just for the Koopaling. So I'm gonna go with the land ship. I'll stick with that, and I'm gonna go with the parachute. All right, 150cc, no teams, normal items, hard CPUs, in order, 16 races. So yeah, I will go through all 16 of the tracks that are currently released in the DLC. So starting with Paris Promenade, however you pronounce it, and ending with the Sky High Sunday, which I'm still up to debate on whether or not I consider this a new track to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe or a tour track that just debuted in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe first. I'll get to that later. But for now, understandably speaking, it is old news at this point, but let's start with the first wave. I'll try and give my thoughts on each of the tracks as I go along, because that's kind of also the point. I want to get what I think about the tracks, and I will, by the end of it, I will give my top 3 favorites from each wave. Also, excuse me, still recovering from getting sick. Unfortunately, the day before recording this, I actually ended up testing positive for COVID, which is incredibly weird because I tested negative when I was at my sickest on the Saturday that I got sick. That was like the day before I recorded my 1,000 Year Door content. So, yeah. Still kind of recovering, but I tested positive, which really sucks. So, yeah. But considering that COVID's been around for literally like 3 years now, and I just got it now, and it was when I wasn't even showing symptoms. So I think that's pretty impressive. Anyway, yeah, so Paris. I would have to say out of all the Wave 1 city tracks, now that's only 2, because the only other one was Tokyo Blur. I absolutely love Paris Promenade. I'm gonna say Paris Promenade. I thought that the way that they handled it was really cool. Like, the first 2 routes you could go wherever you want, and you can actually faithfully recreate only one of the Paris routes, which is Paris Promenade 3, which I have not done. I really wish I was paying attention to do that. But what I like is that once you start 3rd lap, you actually start going in reverse, and you start driving what starts to be Paris Promenade 2R, which I think was really cool. But I believe once you've reached like the Eiffel Tower, that's when you don't necessarily, like, you start racing almost what feels like Paris Promenade 1R or Paris Promenade 3R. So overall though, the branching pathways and the choice to go wherever you really want across the different routes was really cool. And overall, I thought Paris was one of the cooler tracks across Mario Kart Tour. When compared to New York Minute and Tokyo Blur, which definitely felt more like they were suffering from the first track syndrome of a game. Oh my goodness, I'm just gonna get wailed. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I'm just getting wailed on until I don't come in first. Cool. Remember, you're not bad at Mario Kart if you get spammed by items. You're good at Mario Kart if you can win without them. But I'm playing with items just to make it a little more interesting. Yeah. Tokyo Blur and New York Minute felt a little too short. Especially when you look at their one variants. But Paris Promenade felt a little more open, a little bigger, a little more interesting. Alright, now we're on to 3DS Toad Circuit. I'm pretty sure this is something everybody thinks of. Why was this chosen for DLC? Why on earth, out of all the 3DS tracks that you had, did you choose Toad Circuit? Like, I understand that first game circuits exist for a reason. Like first cup circuits, like Luigi Raceway, Mario Circuit 1, Toad Circuit, Mario, like all those things. They exist for a reason. They're supposed to be easy. This is DLC. I don't believe in the slightest that you should be including tracks this boring as paid DLC. I would have settled for Mario Circuit from 3DS more than this. Obviously speaking, if I wanted to pick any 3DS map, I would have picked like Wario Shipyard like way before this. But you know what? They chose Toad Circuit for whatever reason, and I guess to some degree I should be happy that they chose this early. Oh my goodness. This is just how playing with CPUs and items go. You just get bombarded until you're not in first. Because the reality is, CPUs actually can't play good without items. Because when I play without items, which I usually do, I just smoke CPUs. And it actually feels a lot better knowing that you're winning simply because the CPUs can't do anything because you're too good. Yeah, there really isn't too much else I could say about Toad Circuit. It's exactly what you'd expect out of a first game circuit, especially from the 3DS. I would have picked a lot of other maps before I would have picked this one, but whatever. They picked this one. It's better that they got it out of the way so that we're not disappointed down the line. So, that's all there is to say. On to one of the two Nintendo 64 tracks in the DLC, as far as we're concerned, based on data mining. Choco Mountain. One of my, I wouldn't say one of my all-time favorites from Mario Kart 64, considering, honestly speaking, I loved almost every single Mario Kart 64 track, but that's because that was my first game. So it's a little biased. But Choco Mountain was a really fun, really cool course. In the original, not really all that much to look at, considering it was mostly just rock walls. But I think what Tour did to Choco Mountain was absolutely phenomenal. Like, it looks a lot more interesting. The cave was really cool, especially with the additional crystals. Like, the fact that the cave was a lot longer makes it a lot more interesting. The gliding area at the end of the tunnel was really cool. And yeah, I think that, like, while the overall layout is slightly different, like the bottom is a little flatter instead of more well-rounded, it overall doesn't change too much, and I think it looks really cool, especially like they removed a few rock walls so that you can actually get a look out into a misty canyon. Looks really cool. Again, tunnel looks really cool. The additional wooden support banisters, the crystals, the columns, they all look really cool. I think Choco Mountain looks definitely better in Tour and 8 than it did in the originals. But obviously, the originals are just as good. Like, honestly, Mario Kart 64's version is just, like, it's a nostalgia trip. That's all there really is to it. So, Choco Mountain, honestly, really glad that they chose it to come back out of all the N64 tracks. I I think if I were to pick a track I didn't want to return for the DLC from the N64 picks, it would probably have been Koopa Troopa Beach. Oh my goodness, stop item spamming me, you terrible, skillless CPU. Stop relying on your items to win. I mean, look, I have no problem with items. And maybe this is also my fault for constantly having to play Mario Kart alone. But if I'm going to play with items, I want there to at least be 4 other people with me. At least then I can justify it. Because when it's players hucking items at each other, it's more or less just revenge. And being assholes to each other. I guess I could also be playing online, but, like, I just don't care about online that much. I'm here for a showcase, less for anything else. Alright, and the last of the Golden Dash Cup, Coconut Mall. I realized, yeah, I learned this morning that this course got a little bit of an update in the fact that the cars move now. I couldn't care less if they moved or didn't move. I'm not gonna lie, when it comes to courses that had unnecessary changes, I can count at least 2 that had way worse changes than Coconut Mall's cars. Those being the layouts to Ribbon Road and Sky Garden, which I'll get to later. As for my overall thoughts on Coconut Mall, I have to admit this is one of the rare cases where the course's return actually made me like it a lot more. Originally speaking, I didn't really care for Coconut Mall. I thought, I don't want to say it's an overhyped course. Everyone's entitled to their own opinions. I just don't care for Coconut Mall nearly as much as most other Wii tracks. Like, I think the entirety of Star Cup and Mario Kart Wii was better than Coconut Mall. I personally liked Dry Ruins, Rainbow Road, and Toad Factory more than Coconut Mall. So, honestly, it doesn't really even rank in my top half for Mario Kart Wii. But I think that the changes in the overall aesthetics and visuals that they did for this game and tour really just made it pop out a lot more. I think the orange color inside the mall was way better than the kind of more standard glass flooring appearance that it had in Wii and 7. I think the murals on the staircase just ahead of this area that leads to what looked like the food court. Right here. The warp pipes, the brick blocks, the question mark blocks. I think that looks absolutely beautiful. Like, I think that fixes the track a lot. The open design right there to the left or the right, where you can actually see the other part of the other open lobby of the track. I thought that was a really cool addition. Overall, I just feel like Coconut Mall is a lot more open and interconnected, I guess, if that's the word to look for it. Definitely looks a lot better. And I think what Mario Kart Tour did with the trick version where you could drive out on the beach was really cool. So, yeah, Coconut Mall, better in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I think especially Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and Tour, in comparison to Wii and 7. Definitely a track that just kept getting improvements, and I think that's definitely the best. Alright, so now we're on to the Lucky Cat Cup, or Lucky Bell Cup, whatever it's called. Starting with Tokyo Blur. When we want to compare this to all 4 of the Tour City tracks in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I'd say Tokyo Blur is so far my least favorite. I think it's probably because it just follows the most standard route possible in the fact that every lap is a different version. Now, I think that's actually a lot more consistent and it makes it a lot easier. But I think when we have to compare it to the other ones just kind of make the idea a little more interesting. Now, don't get me wrong, I still like Tokyo Blur, but I'd say that the way they handled it in this game was probably just the most generic, the most boring. But don't get me wrong, I still really like it. I'd have to say that the final lap is my favorite because out of all the routes of Tokyo Blur, I think 3 and 4 are my favorite. 4 simply because it takes the route choices for everything and mixes them into one. But I also really like going up, I believe it's a turnpike. A highway, a turnpike. I don't know what it's really called in Japan, if there's a difference. If anybody wants to leave a comment correcting me on what it is, by all means, go ahead. But like, I just like going around the spiraling highway-esque area there. I think that's just the most creative and fun part of the whole thing. Keep in mind, I also don't know very much about worldly culture. Like, even though I dated a girl, my friend Mel, she is, I believe, a lot more knowledgeable on Japan, and despite the fact that I dated her for a while, I still don't know very much about Japan, aside from a few obvious things. But you know, Tokyo Blur, still a really fun track. I love the bridge. I think it's the Rainbow Arc Bridge. Looks really nice, and I think it's really cool that we start there. But yeah, I'd say out of all 4 of the city tracks, Tokyo Blur is just kind of my least favorite. I feel like they could have just used the 4 variation and made it 3 laps, but you know, whatever. DS Shroom Ridge. Okay. I loved this track for one specific reason, and the fact that it's the only track in Wave 1 that has not returned yet. And while it is taking, like, it shares the same visual aspect of Tour, we can confirm that it'll come back in Tour at some point. But I just think that I just love it when a track that hasn't come back comes back. That's why this one is probably my favorite. Or getting a little early opinion out there, this was probably my favorite out of Wave 1, simply because it hasn't come back yet. And I kind of like, I prefer it when they include tracks that haven't been remade yet, which is why so many of the tracks in Mario Kart Tour and Mario Kart 8 just do it a little less for me, because they've all had their chances to return again. Especially when we talk about Mario, like Yoshi Circuit and Dino Dino Jungle coming back again. Yoshi Circuit for like the 4th time in Mario Kart Tour. Oh, I'm getting a little warm. I might need to turn my fan on, so I hope that doesn't disrupt too much. But yeah, Shroom Ridge didn't see a hell of a lot of changes to anything. They did add the gliding ramp in the clearing there, which I think was really cool. It's kind of a situational shortcut that you'd have to 90% of the time save a mushroom for. But the few times I do get it off, it's just satisfying to glide in places that you're never originally supposed to glide in. The same can really be said about that shortcut along the ridge here with the fan. It's like something I don't ever get to do because I rarely ever have a mushroom. That's also assuming I ever play with items. It's also worth noting that I haven't done any of the time trials yet, but I'm waiting for all the courses to be out for that, because I just want to go on an absolute time trial rampage. Amongst other reasons. The main reason is that I like to assign tracks to my Mii characters, and in order to really do that, because I have 24 Miis that I use, which means that there are 2 tracks for each character. Which means I can't really assign them, because like if I assign one and then do the time trial, well then another track can come down the line that I like better, and then I want to use that Mii for a different track. So it's a personal preference. I want to be 100% honest. I also love it when the moment my CPU or my player's a bot just rear ends a car. Good job, Ludwig. 3 times. 3 times. It just keeps going right into the taxi. Is that proof that the CPUs are just dumb? Alright, GBA Sky Garden. Okay. As I was saying on Coconut Mall, this one irked me. I love that Sky Garden came back, but like most of the other GBA tracks in Mario Kart Tour, it just got its layout shafted to hell and back. Like, I'm sorry, okay, no, I'm not sorry, because I'm going to compare my Game Boy Advance and Nintendo 64 tracks to how people see some DS and Wii tracks. Maybe to some of the younger audiences, or otherwise, I don't know, maybe Waluigi Pinball and Coconut Mall are just popular tracks, but I also can choke it up to a lot of people not Maybe there are a lot of people who just haven't played the older tracks. But tracks like Sky Garden and Choco Mountain and Ribbon Road are, to me, like Coconut Mall and Waluigi Pinball are to the masses. These, to me, are nostalgic. Also, screw off with your items. But yeah, this is literally me every single time I play Mario Kart with CPUs and items. Like, I just get bullied for whatever reason. Back onto the topic. I heavily prefer the original layouts because it just feels more nostalgic to me. This is a little overly simplified to a point where it just feels unnecessary. I could live with the idea of adding mushroom trampolines and stuff, and maybe shortening a few turns, but when you literally dip so much of the course just to simplify it, I just feel it's a little unnecessary, especially when you've got tracks the size of 3DS's Rainbow Road. Like, length should not be that big of a concern. You don't need to shorten tracks this much for a DLC. Oh my goodness, how did I not make that jump? I hate lightning. Okay. That King Boo's gonna throw the... Yeah, I was about to say, there's no way that that red shell's not hitting anybody but me. Alright, assuming I don't get struck by lightning before I can use it, let's go. I don't get to use that very often either. Alright, now, like, no one's got any items that are gonna screw me over with? Okay. Yeah, layout issues is a thing I've been having since base game Mario Kart 8. With, I think, the heaviest example in the base game being N64 Rainbow Road. I feel like they could have changed that a hell of a lot better. And then Ribbon Road was kind of like the icing on the cake, and I was just like, done. I'll talk about Ribbon Road another time, but for now, we get on to Ninja Hideaway, a track that continues to... Well, that started to create very solid inconsistencies with how Nintendo is handling this. Clearly, voice crack. Clearly, we all know this is a tour track. It debuted in Tour first. Yet, there is no tour prefix on this track, much like how Sky High Sunday does not have a prefix. Which is exactly why I consider Sky High Sunday a tour track, because it's following the same rules as Ninja Hideaway. Ninja Hideaway, now, if we wanted to include this as a part of the tour tracks, which I kind of want to, it's not a city track, sure, but we all know it's a track that debuted in Tour, so it has to be a tour track. Ninja Hideaway is a really cool track. It's tricky. Like, honestly, this has to be this is a Star Cup track if it were a traditional Mario Kart track. Like, bar none, looks like a finale to Star Cup kind of track. It's really tricky. There are a lot of tight turns, and there are a lot of just random hazards you gotta watch out for in the form of those Shy Guys and these shuriken traps here. But overall, I think Ninja Hideaway is one of my favorite tour tracks. I'd say, like, I think it has to fight for a few of the city tracks, because I like, I'd say that, oh shoot, where am I going? I couldn't see the road. My favorite tour tracks are Vancouver Velocity, Berlin Byways, and Singapore Speedway. And I think London Loop has to take fourth, but if I wanted to say, I'd say my fifth favorite. Ooh, I forgot Amsterdam. You know what? Might have to come back to you on this one. I have absolutely no idea what my order of favorite tracks would have to be. I know my top three for sure, but beyond that, it's a real battle. Like, London Loop is amazing. Ninja Hideaway is amazing. Amsterdam Drift is really cool. So, I'll have to come back to you on that one, but Ninja Hideaway is definitely one of the notable tracks for me. I really love it. Glad that it got early in Mario Kart 8 so that we never have to wait for those seasonal ninja-based tours for this track to come back. because it seems like even these new tracks in Mario Kart Tour follow the same rule as the new tracks of the city tracks, where they are only they're only added at times where they're necessary. All right, so that takes care of all of Wave 1. So we are moving on to Wave 2. This is what we've come to talk about. We are starting with New York Minute, the first track of Mario Kart Tour that I'm going to say they definitely made better. Holy jeez. Okay, let's talk about the visuals. I think it's very clear that Mario Kart, like the second wave of DLC's visuals are heavily improved from Wave 1. Now, that's not to say everything is perfect. Obviously, like still the trees, still the grass, traditional complaints. But overall, I'd say that the lighting and the buildings look straight up really good. Now, New York Minute, I couldn't help but notice was it doesn't feel like we're racing on any specific routes this time around. It doesn't seem like this is taking any sort of layout inspiration. It just seems like we're racing along the different roads. And they're ensuring that we get to everywhere at least once. So I think I was thrown for a little bit of a loop. Also, the Goombas aren't even facing the right way up on this lap. But yeah, I think New York Minute was my most hyped tour track from this wave, because first off, in Tour itself, we get to race on New York Minute maybe once a year. And that's during the anniversary. And now that we've had New York Minute 4, it makes me wonder, like, what are they going to do for this year's anniversary? Are we going to get some more 4 variants of other tracks? Are we going to get the other New York Minute variants? I have no idea what their plan is going to be for this track. But now that it's in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I guess we don't have to care too much about what it does in Tour, because now we could just play it whenever we want in a definitive version that doesn't rely on the otherwise really boring first variants. Blow up that red shell. Yeah, New York Minute looks phenomenal with all the lighting, the bright neon signs. Like, it kind of embodies. I've been to New York, I believe, twice, but I don't think I've ever roamed the streets at night. Probably for the best. If I wanted to say anything, New York basically looks like the US equivalent to Toronto, and Toronto's already a mess. Again, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. Alright, Mario Circuit 3. I have controversial opinions on this. Positive controversial opinions. I love Mario Circuit 3. Mario Circuit 3 is my favorite Super NES track. I know a lot of people are considering this the Toad Circuit of this wave, and I say feel free to think that. I love Mario Circuit 3. This is my favorite SNES track, up there with Rainbow Road and Mario Circuit 2. So I don't care that they chose this track. I love it. I wouldn't have cared. I would have cared a lot more if they had put Mario Circuit 1, and then I would have considered that the Toad Circuit of this wave. But Mario Circuit 3 is... It stems from Mario Kart Wii. Mario Kart Wii, I loved Mario Circuit 3. It was my favorite retro track in Mario Kart Wii because of how much drifting practice I got and how I felt like I was really good at it. So Mario Circuit 3 grew on me in the Wii era, and it became my favorite track. Ouch, of course. So I have no problems with this being in the wave. We already knew we were getting a Mario Circuit track, so there's really no point in complaining that we got this. Excuse me. Okay. Sorry, Yoshi. So yeah, I'm completely okay with Mario Circuit 3. You'll get to my surprising opinions later when I list off my favorites for each wave. But I guess honestly, and I'm kind of glad that they didn't change too much. I was honestly, like, when I was thinking about the DLC, I was actually very, very curious as to how they would handle SNES tracks. And I'm glad to say that, like, yeah, they didn't change much, and that's probably just Nintendo being overly cautious over their first game's designs. Like, they want to keep as much of the nostalgia as possible. But I love the background. I think the lighting really works well, and for once, the backgrounds actually kind of look interesting. We all know the SNES tracks didn't have too much to look at in the backgrounds, but this one, the shading on the background mountains, that's something we've never actually seen before as far as I'm concerned. So, and like all the little minor details, like I know the piranha plant pipes, the piranha plants, the flagpoles and the brick blocks, those are nothing really too special to look at. Those are just the typical things we've seen them add to various courses, but I think it looks nice. It just makes the track look a little more crowded. If I were to add maybe anything, maybe I would have added like some stands in the on the side of the starting line here. Add some spectators on stands. But otherwise, I think Mario Circuit 3 looks perfectly fine. Next track, Calamari Desert. Okay, bar none, I was really excited for this one. I knew that this was going to be the last N64 track, and I was kind of hoping for something like Wario Stadium to finish off every N64 track and hint us at something else for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe or Mario Kart Tour. But the fact that they chose Calamari Desert, I have to go yes with, because we know Mario Kart Tour had two variants of Calamari Desert. One that took inspiration from the train tracks that was in Mario Kart 64. And I think what they did here was just perfect, because we effectively got two routes for the price of one. Because Calamari Desert in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe now combines features from Mario Kart 8 Tour's Calamari Desert 2. Screw you, Peach. I never liked you. I never liked Peach. When I play a Mario game, I'm doing it for the personal rush. It's got nothing to do with Peach. Anyway, back to Calamari Desert. Yeah, like, okay. As someone who grew up with Mario Kart 64, you can imagine that I was one of those people who immediately had to go and go on the train tracks at least at one point in the original Calamari Desert. And I did. Of course I did. Who wouldn't? If you're a 90s kid and you grew up with Mario Kart 64, you're probably lying to me if you said you never even conceived the thought of going on the train tracks. Of course I did that. Mario Kart 7 decided to say, haha, no, you're not allowed here anymore. So they completely flat out just took that away. And now we're in Mario Kart Tour, where they decided, oh, you want to go back on the tracks? Well, here's your opportunity to do that. What else can you ask for from this track? We just got the best of both worlds. We got the original layout, and we've got the childhood sensation of driving on the train tracks like an idiot. Except now we're being encouraged to do it. So now, not only are we driving on the train tracks like an idiot, we've got our idiot friend in the form of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe encouraging us to go headfirst into that train. Yeah, okay. Calamari Desert, I think probably out of the 6 choices, out of the 4 really that they could have picked, because we know they couldn't have put Royal Raceway or Yoshi Valley in because they're already in the game. This was the best option. I would have taken Wario Stadium instead just to further the surprise factor, but that was the next best thing. Alright, Waluigi Pinball. Everyone's most hyped course. I'm sorry, I'm not one of them. I like Waluigi Pinball. I think it is aesthetically a very colorful and beautiful track, and the general additional sound effects that they put in to make it feel more like a pinball table is amazing. Don't get me wrong, in no sense am I going to sell Waluigi Pinball short. If anything, I think that Mario Kart Tour's rendition of this track is probably the best, and bringing all that visual spectacle back into Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is amazing. The only reason why this isn't one of my most hyped picks is just because there's still so many tracks I like more than Waluigi Pinball on a more personal level. That's all there is to it. It's got nothing to do with the fact that I dislike this track in any sense. I just like other tracks more. That's all there is to it. But I have to give Waluigi Pinball the credit it deserves. First of all, I think this is one of those tracks that really like, it visually shows that they did a little bit more effort in the textures for this DLC wave. Like, look at the ground here. It almost looks like we're driving on almost like a leather carpet or something. There, you could see a little bit more you could see more detail in it. And I think that already says a lot of good things. Of course, like, it still looks like it was slightly touched up from Tour. But I think that they definitely did a lot better of a job here. Holy shit, why there's so many blue shells? I'm gonna get hit by that. See you later. But yeah, like, I like Waluigi Pinball. I love the details. I love how colorful it is, especially in this game. Like, holy jeez, the lights are amazing. But there are still just more tracks I like more. Like, in DS alone, I like TikTok Clock more. I like Luigi's Mansion more. I like, as cliche as this is going to sound, I like Airship Fortress more. I like Rainbow Road a lot more. Yeah, there are like at least 5 more tracks I like a little bit more than I like this track. But who cares? That's how opinions work. But yeah, I think that this is the best Waluigi Pinball has ever looked. And like Tour's various changes that they made were for the better. I think that the 2D Waluigi signs are a little bit more appealing than the almost 3D looking-esque designs. I noticed that in Mario Kart Tour especially, they've been opting to use the characters' 2D artworks as opposed to their 3D. This is apparent in Yoshi Valley with the various Yoshi signs, and on the recently released Daisy Cruiser with some of the Daisy images on the pool inside the cruiser. Oh shit, I got mucked by a pinball. So I think that the 2D artwork just works a little bit better in this case. So yeah, definitely I'd say that much like Coconut Mall, this is probably Waluigi Pinball's best appearance. And I think it'll be, it's made a lot better by the fact that we have 12 racers, so like this will probably be a very fun fan favorite pick for online. But like I said, it's just not my most hyped track. Given how long this video is, I might not do mirror mode, so I might save that for future waves because I'm covering wave 1 here too. Sydney Sprint. Okay, so all things considered, I really like Sydney Sprint. And I think that when I first played this track, it really popped out at me. And when I first played it here, I was like, oh my goodness, that new layout. Because keep in mind, Sydney Sprint is so far the only track in Tour, that was included in Tour, that doesn't have a third variant released at the time of this track's release. Tokyo Blur, New York Minute, and Paris Promenade all have their 3 variants, while Sydney Sprint doesn't. And I think the only other track that I know of that has a third variant... Oh, there are... who? Los Angeles Laps and London Loop both have their third variants released at the time of this DLC. Which I think is funny, because Vancouver Velocity was released way before Los Angeles Laps, and it didn't even get its 2 variant until after Los Angeles Laps had 2. So, what the hell? I don't even know, yeah, Los Angeles Laps 2 came out. You know what? It's so confusing to think about now that I'm thinking about it. So let me just keep talking about Sydney Sprint too. We are currently on the new area of Sydney Sprint that we have not seen. And I think that looks really cool. And I think the way they handled this track was arguably really much cooler than most of the other ones so far, because first lap is Sydney Sprint 1. Lap 2 seems to be Sydney Sprint 3, as well as mixing in elements from Sydney Sprint 2R. Because this right here is where we go when we race on Sydney Sprint 2, but it's in reverse. Now, I have absolutely no idea if Sydney Sprint 3 includes that part. I have a feeling I actually know the layout. But what makes this interesting is that lap 3 is just the first variant. It's Sydney Sprint R. So it's Route 1, but in reverse completely. So this is the only track so far that we get a complete and singled out R variant. So, okay, screw you, King Boo. Okay, yeah, a little bit more on the variant releases. So Los Angeles Laps 1 came after Vancouver Velocity 1. And then we got Los Angeles Laps 3 as the quote-unquote second variant. Alright, let's go. Nope, coming in second. And then after that, I think after Los Angeles Laps 3, I believe we got Vancouver Velocity 2, and then we got Los Angeles Laps 2. So, we've been, ever since Los Angeles Laps, we've been getting a very, very weird release order for city tracks, but who cares? Because remember, we got Berlin Byways 2 before we even got Berlin Byways 1. So, Nintendo is clearly about as consistent as... I put it this way. Nintendo has about as much consistency as Mario Tennis Ultra Smash has content. None. So, yeah. Okay, Snowland. Oh, this one. This was their left field choice of Mario Kart 8, the Wave 2 DLC. And I love it. I absolutely love that they chose Snowland. Most of all, I'm going to get right into it. They kept a lot of the layout very faithful. I'd like to compare this to how they handled Mario Circuit from the Game Boy Advance in the base game. The layout is still there. Some of the angles, some of the turns might be a little bit different. But overall, oh my goodness, that penguin just did a few jumps. The layout is relatively faithful. It looks a little bit smaller, a little bit smushed together, but overall, I don't have a problem with that because it still looks very faithful. They did take a few things away, like some of the off-road ice shortcuts, but that ramp right there looks really nice. I'm hoping to get a mushroom at some point. Okay, for example, if anybody has even ever played the Game Boy Advance version, there was a straightaway right on this diagonal, you could, right from the turn onto the diagonal portion there, you can go straight into a cornered turn, like a 90-degree turn that would just go straight forward and then straight down. It's hard for me to describe it, but maybe I'll slap a map on there so you can get a good visual idea. But that was removed. And some of the off-road icy paths were removed, but that's because of the elevation changes that were made to this track. So overall, though, choosing Snowland has to have been one of the coolest things I've seen. I know I was kind of I almost thought it was Vanilla Lake at first, but then when I saw Mario Circuit, I was like, okay, it's not Vanilla Lake. And then it said Snowland. I'm like, no way, no shot you guys did this. I'm so proud of them for finally showing some more GBA hype. Alright, and speaking of GBA hype, I'm doing terribly. Please give me... Okay, yeah, sure. You can give me one red shell while I'm in 6th place. And doom me to fucking 5th, I guess. Well, never mind, I'm not getting anything good here. This is going to be my worst performance because I just kept getting item spammed. 9th place because the CPUs can't win without their items. Don't comment section. I'm not bad at this game. You saw the rest of this game, these races. I'm good at this game. I just keep getting spammed by items by CPUs. Wouldn't be bad if they were players, but this is a showcase. It's not anything more. All right, Mushroom Gorge. All right, we're gonna cut right to the chase. There are so many Wii tracks I like more than Mushroom Gorge. Again, much like Waluigi Pinball, it's not that I dislike this course at all. I actually very much enjoy it. However, let me count every single track I like more than this one. Toad's Factory, DK Summit, Wario's Gold Mine, the entirety of Star Cup, so Daisy Circuit, Koopa Cape, Maple Tree Way, Grumble Volcano, Moo Moo Meadows, I'm actually going to go as far as to say that, Dry Dry Ruins, and Rainbow Road, and maybe even Bowser's Castle. I'm not gonna lie to you. This is up. I think this is in the same position as Coconut Mall. Both of them, I'd say, outrank 2 tracks. I'm sorry. And Moo Moo Meadows is even up for debate. But the only other tracks that Coconut Mall and Mushroom Gorge outrank are literally Mario and Luigi Circuit. I know this track really is a nice track, but most of the other ones in Wii just kind of pop out a little bit more. Maple Treeway and Maple Treeway especially. I'd say Maple Treeway is up there as like easily one of my top favorites. Call Dry Dry Ruin's a very, very, very personal love because I love desert tracks. But look, again, not slamming these kind of tracks. I just personally like a lot more of the other tracks more. I will say though, Mushroom Gorge looks very nice in this game. Much like most other tracks, I'd say this is probably its best appearance, even above Tour. Alright, sweet. Once again, getting absolutely just bombarded with the most randomest of items, like gotta get struck by lightning and then followed up by a blue shell, am I right? Interesting that they removed one of the random mushrooms there. Now, if I can just not screw up this time, I'm going to go up here. I actually think that the cave here is the most interesting because they kind of like they brought back the Wii path, but then they also just they slapped the blue mushroom from Mario Kart 7 and 2 in there. How many times am I going to get struck by lightning? See, that's the problem with me being so good when giving the CPUs items. It's that coupled with Mario Kart 8's very broken item distribution system and the fact that it's more dependent on how far last place is from you, I just get struck by lightning every lap because I'm so far away from last place that they are just handed multiple lightning bolts. Okay, now I can finally talk about Sky High Sundae and how confusing it is to the Mario Kart series. Everyone is saying that because this track debuted in Mario Kart 8, it's a Mario Kart 8 track. I am going to offer a very, very bold comparison. Is Roy a Smash Brothers character? Because he debuted in Smash Bros. Before he made his own debut. Are Edelgard, Byleth, Claude, and Dimitri Fire Emblem Heroes characters because they made their appearance in Fire Emblem Heroes first? Even as far as I'm concerned, Sonic didn't even debut in his own franchise first. Let's ask that question before we jump to the conclusion that this is a Mario Kart 8 track. I am personally convinced that in the way that this DLC has been going, that this is meant to be a tour track, but it just so happened to debut here first. The reason why I say that is because, remember, every single other track is in tour, at the very least, or is probably going to be in tour. Like Shroom Ridge especially looks like it visually takes on after all the other tour tracks. So it's safe to assume it's going to be in tour. Now, feel free to disagree with me, because I personally disagree with people who say that this is a new track from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and that's okay. We have every right to disagree with each other. I think this is a tour track that is just appearing here first. I'd say it's no different than, again, Roy's situation being in Melee before he was in Binding Blade. It's clear that Roy is meant to be in Binding Blade first, but he just so happened to make his debut in Smash. He's still a Fire Emblem character. Smash still treats him as a Fire Emblem character, just like how Fire Emblem Heroes treats Byleth, Edelgard, and Dimitri and Claude as Three Houses characters, despite them appearing in Heroes first. I think this is the same way. Ninja Hideaway doesn't have the tour prefix, which is why I'm still convinced that this is a tour track, because it's following the same rules. Also, of course, well, I'll thank that Red Shelf for hitting me first, but of course, someone got away from me, came in second. Oh well, whatever, I still came in first overall. Alright, I've been talking so much, I am going to skip out on the Mirror Mode Grand Prix because my mouth is getting very dry from all that talking. So I am going to go ahead and give my top 3 tracks from each wave. So wave 1, my easiest top 3s were Shroom Ridge, Ninja Hideaway, and yes, even though the track layout kind of got gypped, I have to go with Sky Garden because I love Sky Garden. It was my earliest favorite GBA track, so any attention to that track is warranted. Like, I just love that track. Shroom Ridge, because it's the original, like, it's the first and only, well, one of 2 now, tracks that have not been remade yet. Ninja Hideaway, because I think Mario Kart 8 Deluxe just made it a hell of a lot better. And Sky Garden, because I just love Sky Garden. I also have to contribute that the new remixes that they made for Shroom Ridge and Ninja Hideaway were phenomenal. I absolutely love them. Top 3 picks for Mario Kart Wave 2, from 1st to 3rd. Snowland, Calamari Desert, and controversially speaking, Mario Circuit 3. Because, as I mentioned, yes, Mario Circuit 3 is my favorite SNES track, so it's really hard for me not to hate it. Or it's really hard for me to hate it. Sorry, not to hate it. Like, double negatives confuse me. Calamari Desert, I have to give full props to for the merger of Calamari Desert 1 and 2, so making it a very definitive Calamari Desert, which is best route they could have gone. So easily have to give it props for that. And Snowland for basically the same reason as it's combining my reasonings for Shroom Ridge and Sky Garden. I love the Game Boy Advance tracks. Like, Mario Kart Super Circuit was my second Mario Kart. I absolutely love that game. And I feel like it just doesn't get talked about as much. One day I would like to talk about it. So maybe I will. But for being the only track in Wave 2 that has not been remastered yet, barring the tour tracks, and for being a favorite GBA track of mine. So yeah, I'm going to cut it here. I'm not going to do the Mirror Grand Prix because I'm already 50 minutes in. I'm going to call it here. I will be back for each wave where I probably will try to do, well, we'll see. I will maybe try to do the Mirror Grand Prix in the future, but I will definitely be doing the showcase for each and every wave that comes out from here on. So I hope you all look forward to that. So if you guys liked what you saw, hit that like button. If you want to see other similar, like, my channel's all over the place right now. My work is getting busy again, so I haven't had too much time to work on anything outside of my playthroughs. My playthroughs are so far the easiest things I can do. Right now, as maybe you might know, if you're new here, I have currently got a playthrough of Thousand Year Door going, where I limit my badges to whatever I find in each chapter. If you want to check that out, you can definitely head over to my channel and check it out. I will. I don't know. Maybe I'll leave a link in the description to my playthrough. Other than that, I've done some wish list videos, like I've done Mario Party videos. I've done playthroughs for Mario Party. I've done some Mario Kart wish list videos regarding this DLC. I'm thinking about making another one based on the data mine that we have and the DLC that we currently have. So I'm going to rearrange some ideas and try and make a more accurate prediction list, less of a wish list, more of a trying to predict. Other than that, I've got some older Smash montages, amongst other things. Yeah, my channel's kind of got a bunch of random things on it, so if you want to check all that out, go ahead. If you really want to see more of this stuff, if you want to follow what I do and be the first to see all this new stuff when I do it, if I do it, hit that subscribe button. If you guys have anything to say about this video, if you want to just chat about my opinions, chat about what you think about the DLC, please leave a comment. I will gladly respond to any or all comments. I will do my best. If I have a contribution to your comment, I will definitely comment on it. I try my best to do that. So please, by all means, don't be shy. Leave comments. Leave your opinions. I hope y'all made it. I know this is a long video. I hope y'all made it to the very end. So I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.